It's a video I made on the beginning of life and childhood. Here we have the stages from the beginning to the end. Earth was created, humans were developed, DNA and other parts of the system, and chromosomes and history behind the looks of our health history, tasting a child, and the outcome of life. When our life was being made from the beginning of time. As we all know, Earth has been around 4.6 billion years. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth, and the humans were made. God made each one different. That's why we have different genes and chromosomes that make us different down through our family history. Here we have RNA. Charles to explain that as time progressed, RNA catalyzed the formation of the peptide bonds between amino acids to form proteins. Later on, enzymes became more efficient in catalyzing chemical reactions and enzymes that took over these reactions. Still later, DNA took over the role of genetic information, which stored it in the hard drive for our genes. RNA comes into play when DNA replicates itself. DNA contains phosphate group, a sugar group, and a nitrogen base. The nitrogen bases found in DNA are A, T, G, and C. The order of the bases inside the DNA molecule forms the genetic code that relays DNA's instructions. DNA was first isolated in 1868, but the structure of the molecule was not mapped out until 1953. Pairs of the bases, representing the letters A, T, G, and C, make up the rest of the hexaless ladder. In the order of the four chemical functions as alphabetic code, allowing organisms to create long, complicated codes. DNA strand is billions of base pairs or runs long. There's 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs that are found inside the nucleus of every human cell except for the egg and the sperm, which have 23 chromosomes each. We inherit half from our mother, half from our father. This is where the genes are responsible from our eye, skin, hair, color, height, body type, and intelligence. Each gene is a tiny segment of DNA that holds a formula. There is different kinds of testing that is included: newborn screening, diagnostic testing, carrier testing, prenatal testing. There's all kinds of testing when you're first born. There's also cloning that is also, we're going to talk about 3 different ones. Gene cloning, which is the exact copies of the segments. The first reason they want to clone genes is to gain information about the nucleotide sequence of the genes. Second reason is to manipulate a gene, either by altering its DNA sequence or combining it with new DNA mixtures, which might mean placing gene inside of the DNA of a different organism. Therapeutic cloning produces copies of the cells, purpose of repairing injured diseased tissue or in the human body. Most embryos used in stem cells research in the U.S. are the frozen products of vitro fertilization that were not used to produce a pregnancy and are destined to be destroyed. Other stem cell cultures are grown specifically for research purposes through the government regulation. We also have reproductive cloning. Here produces animals, the copies of the animals. We all know about the Scottish sheep Dolly. It was in 1996 from a single maternal cell. She lived until 2003. Scientists now have cloned more sheep, cattle, goats, mice, dogs, cats, monkeys, pigs, as we all know. Here we also talk about gene therapy. It is rapidly becoming an effective tool for correcting and preventing certain diseases. Gene therapy may involve replacing deficiency or blocking an active pathway. It's the same as bone marrow transplantation. Genetic therapy may also involve the insertion of normal copies of genes in the cells of the persons with a specific genetic disease. Here we talk about the conception at the beginning of life. You know, we have infertility people use whenever they can't have kids. They go to a doctor to get treatment. They also may think about surrogacy, to let someone carry a child for them, or adoption they also have. But just remember, either way you go, there's different options for having a child in your family. Just make sure that you give them the right life. The moment that you created another human was the moment you decided to spend the rest of your life putting someone else before yourself. Just remember that a child did not choose to be here, but this is how they carry our genes, or they may carry our lifestyle into their lifestyle. Best thing to do is let them look up to us. It all starts with our DNA.